I'm a seasonal worker at a dying mall in Michigan. I remember when this place used to be popping, especially around the holiday season. But now, the only businesses that are open are a J.C. Penney, a Goodwill, a Mexican restaurant, a Dunham's Sporting Goods, and the saddest Victoria's Secret you've ever seen. When I was a kid, we would come here right before Christmas. We never really bought anything. I would just throw all my pocket change into the fountain, and we'd eat at the Mexican restaurant. But most importantly, we'd go see the big man himself, Santa Claus. Even though my parents never told me that Santa was a real mythical being, they did tell me that Santa is a fun game that everyone participated in for Christmas. Looking back now, I just think they didn't want me to spoil the illusion for any other kids at school. This Christmas, I was the mall Santa. I was home from college on Christmas break, and everywhere I applied for work was staffed full. The pay for being this mall, Santa was weirdly good for a dying mall. Apparently some local eccentric rich guy enjoyed making this magic happen, so he sponsored the event every year. The guy was paying me $45 an hour, 5 hours a day for a week. I hopped on that opportunity before anyone else could. The first day of work was easy enough. About 30 families came through. The kids cried as they got their pictures taken, and they told me they wanted V-Bucks and told me I had skibidi riz. I'm only 21, but these kids were making me feel like I was the actual thousands of years old Santa Claus. I'm not one to critique the younger generation, because I was once that kid calling everyone bae and I screamed butter whenever I got a gold ingot in Minecraft. I'm just glad the kids are alright. The one upside to the gig was that I was really hitting it off with the woman who was playing the elf. She was the mysterious rich man's daughter. Her name was Amara, and boy was she a smoke show. She told me about how her dad has been the CEO of various oil companies, health insurance agencies, and is actually the owner of this mall. She said that he didn't have the heart to close the place because it meant so much to him as a child. The rest of the week went about as you'd expect. Kids, pictures, V-Bucks, and flirting with Amara. On the last day of work, Amara's father came in to meet me. His name was Damien, and he was super cool. He looked like he could be anywhere from 35 to 75 years old. It was hard to get an accurate gauge. Amara told me he uses some weird experimental anti-aging stuff. He came in dressed as an elf and interacted with all the kids, and even handed out $100 V-Bucks gift cards and candy to all of them. He was a superstar. After the night was over, he invited me over to his place for a big Christmas dinner. Christmas wasn't for another 2 days, but he said that he wanted to congratulate me on being his best mall Santa he'd ever employed. I was starving and poor, so going to the strange multimillionaire's house for fancy people food sounded a lot better than another McChicken for the 4th night in a row. It took an hour and a half or so for the chauffeur to get us to their house. They lived in the middle of nowhere, way back up in the woods. The driveway must have been at least 2 miles long. The house was immaculate. It was a giant 25,000 square foot log cabin. The fence and gate that surrounded the property was gilded with various ironwork art pieces. The one I locked in on was a nativity scene, but the baby Jesus was missing. I couldn't tell what was in his place, but it didn't seem like that mattered. We got inside and one of his many butlers gave me a bag. He told me to go take a shower and to meet them in the main dining room. Amara led me upstairs to the bathhouse for me to take my shower. When I say bathhouse, what I mean is a giant room with a bathtub the size of your standard middle-class backyard pool. The walls and ceilings were full of shower heads that must have had a bajillion different settings, and some of them detached from the wall. There were vents all around that let in warm steam that smelled like herbs and spices like rosemary and lavender. I was in heaven. I went to take my clothes off, but Amara was still there looking at me. I hesitated, but she insisted that I undress. She even led the way by doing so herself. I'll spare you the details. After the most amazing shower of my life, Amara and I went down to the dinner table. It must have been 30 feet long and it was full of food. 5 turkeys all cooked in different styles, 5 vats of mashed potatoes, a bunch of freshly baked bread, mashed butternut squash, veggie platters, 3 hams, lamb chops, beef Wellington, and desserts on desserts on desserts. It was amazing. I ate and ate and ate. All but a few of his employees were eating. The ones who were serving had already eaten their fill. It wasn't until my 5th glass of wine that Damien spoke. "Damien, I would like to wish all of you here today a very merry